Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this short video about Aish Tamid of Los Angeles. Before you watch this video, I have to have an open and casual conversation with you, the viewer. As you watch this video, you're going to see a lot of faces of teens, a lot of faces of young adults, a lot of faces of community members, of parents, of rabbis. I ask you all to please not jump to any conclusions by any of the stories that you hear. I don't want anyone to associate or make the wrong associations based on the work that Aish Tamid does with the pictures and the faces that you're seeing in this video. Many of the participants who come to our programming are there as a mashpia, meaning they're there to help out and to be a positive influence on the crowd. Many of the people, the parents, the volunteers who come are there because they understand the important work that we're doing. It is essential that as you watch this video, everyone is sensitive to the topics that we talk about, and that they respect and understand the delicacy of the work that we do and not make any of the wrong conclusions based on the faces that you see. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video about Aish Tamid of Los Angeles. You know, it's funny, everywhere that I go, someone always comes up to me and says, oh, you work with the Aish Tamid guys, and they have this reputation for being these wild, crazy, off-the-wall, type of guys, or crackheads, as some of those people call them. I want to tell you, before you watch this video, I work with some of the greatest guys out there. I mean, each one is sweet like honey. And I just want to ask everyone before they watch this video, before you start seeing the faces and you say, I know him, and I know him, and I knew there was always something up with this guy. I want everyone to just know that I've asked a lot of people to be in this video. Some of them are our students, some of them are friends of Aish Tamid, some of them are volunteers. Everyone that you see, everyone's face, they're in this video for a reason. But it may not be the reason that you think that they're in a video. So I just ask everyone to watch the video, learn what Aish Tamid does, get a feel for the important work that we're doing, and not make any judgments on any families or any kids or anyone that you see, because every one of them is terrific, and they may not be in this video for the reason that you're thinking or that you're hoping that they're in this video. They may just be there because they're terrific and they support our work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this short video about Aish Tamid of Los Angeles. Aish Tamid has grown to a phenomenal organization that has literally helped thousands of teens and families on multiple issues. I ask you all as you watch this video to be sensitive and to not make any quick judgments as to any of the stories that you hear or any of the faces that you see. The people speaking is a collection of friends, of volunteers, of students, of families. Some of them are Aish Tamid students and families, and others of them, like I said, are people who've been involved and who've watched us grow and have come to talk in support of what we're doing. Every student that we deal with, they're amazing. I mean, they're sweet like honey. And it would be a shame if any conclusions were made or any associations were made between Aish Tamid and any of the dynamic and charismatic boys that we deal with. So I ask you all to sit back, to enjoy the video, to understand what we're doing, to see the need in helping us and being a part of the magic of Aish Tamid, and I thank you all again. They needed someone to talk to. They needed someone to learn with. They needed someone to connect with on their level, where they could talk about relationships, where they could talk about schooling, where they could talk about friends, where they could talk about social pressures, where they could talk about real issues that were confronting young adults. And Aish Tamid really started with just two guys, two guys in the back of a Ezer Sanoshim in one of the shtibels, Orachayim shtibel in the Hancock Park area. And it just started with just two guys, no books, no svarim, no paper handout photocopies, just two guys talking. And then another guy came, and another guy came, and another guy came, and another guy came. And without exaggeration, I mean, the whole program was really just run off of a cell phone. And we had kind of worked it up to about, believe it or not, about 220 guys. It was a rotation of about 220 guys who were coming for a variety of reasons. And we basically started working hard with a single vision in mind, a single goal in mind. That single goal, that single vision was to create a safety net in Los Angeles, California for all the Jewish teens and young adults. Something needs to catch them to perhaps help them with their schooling. Something needs to catch them to help them with a job and a career. Something needs to catch them to help them with their family. Something needs to catch them to help them with spirituality. Something needs to catch them to help them with friendships and relationships or any other temptations that a person might have. After taking a sabbatical and working 10 months to build the infrastructure, we had worked up already, like I said, to several hundred kids, and an interesting phenomena started happening. Whereas the program was originally geared and designed for post-high school teens. Those are kids who are either didn't go to Israel, but they graduated high school, or they came back from Israel, now they were coming back. A remarkable thing, an unexpected thing started happening. Word had gotten out that every Friday night at my house we had big tishes going on. It was Labor Dick. It was unlike anything in Los Angeles, where literally there were at least 50 guys every Friday night who were by my table. In fact, my wife, and we all know that to women, their home is a very, very precious thing, and it took a lot of sacrifice on her part, but she was very happy to do it for the guys, for the benefit of the guys. She actually went ahead and transformed and switched over our whole den, our whole dining room, into the living room, and she put our big living room into the little dining room, and I put our whole dining room into the big living room, because we just had guys overflowing into the kitchen and into the halls. There was no more room for anybody. Anyway, so phenomena started happening that as we were having the Friday night tishes, we started getting knocks on the door. And when we opened the door, instead of it being a post-high school guy, it turned out being a high school-aged 15 or 16-year-old kid who basically either heard the music as they were walking by the singing, or they had heard about it from their friend, and they just wanted to, they wanted to check it out. There's nothing else going on Friday night in the city. Either they sit home and go to sleep, or they would go to a friend's house where they would get in trouble or be mischievous or have different temptations, or they said, you know what, let's go sing a little bit. Let's go have a little cook a little cake, go to Avi Leibovic's house, sing a song. And it created a little bit of a problem. Why? Because we have kids who are post-high school who are sitting at my table, who were in one stage of life where they were thinking about college and they were already much more mature in where they were in their growth and their development. And then we had other kids who were just, getting into high school. They were just trying to figure out how to navigate between like curfew that their parents were giving them at night, and maybe they were just being confronted with cigarettes. Should I smoke? Should I not smoke? Should I get a driver's license? Should I not? The issues were totally different. And it wasn't long before we were lucky enough to find Rabbi Hershoff, or Rabbi Hershoff found us. We found each other. It was a match made in heaven, where we basically divided up our strengths, our koiches, and Rabbi Hershoff took the high school kids and I took the post-high school kids. Rabbi Hershoff started working with them in the Tina Tabin workshops for success programs that we had, where the kids can come to the Tina Tabin. They could be themselves. We didn't care if they came with yarmulkes, if they didn't come with yarmulkes. We didn't care if they showed up on time or didn't show up on time. We just wanted them to show up and connect and be a part of something special. And they loved it. I mean, it was remarkable. An ice blended is the very best kiruv tool that anyone can find out there. The angriest boys, the most disenfranchised boys, the boys who won't talk to anybody or anything, you throw them a free ice blended, it's like, what's going on? It's like, it's terrific. Rabbi Fassman and Rabbi Graydon and everyone at the Kollel had been terrific and very supportive of what we had been doing, and they opened up the second floor base measures that they had for us. So as Rabbi Hershoff was on one side of Beverly dealing with the teens, I was on the other side of Beverly at the LA Kollel, still giving my classes. And it was phenomenon. It was phenomenal. 20 to 30 guys coming to every single shiur. Anyone in the community who wanted to observe and check it out, there was an open door policy. In fact, there was a Ma'ariv right around 9 o'clock after the shiur. So a lot of people actually started coming a little bit early. A lot of the men were coming a little bit earlier. Just they were blown away to see who are these guys. Like, what? Is this like a college campus program? Is this a, some type of kiruv program where you're taking these kids for the first time? I said, oh no, this is not a college campus program. This is not a kiruv 101 program. In fact, this kid went to that Jewish school, and this kid went to that Jewish school, and this kid went to that Jewish school, and this kid lives on this street, and this kid lives on that street, and this kid died in this shul, this kid's died in that shul. And people were blown away to realize that these were the kids in the community. But hold on one second. The kids in our community don't look like that. The kids in our community don't show up wearing baseball hats and T-shirts and jeans and sneakers. The kids in our community are nice b'nai Torah. No, these are our kids. These are who they are. And it's true. There are those kids who dress a certain way and who act a certain way, and they fall a little bit more within the traditional Ben Torah, look model. But then there's a whole other section of our community. There's a whole other group of kids who, even though they sit side by side in the same classes as the other kids, they need a little something different. It just didn't stick to them in the same way that, it stuck to the other kids. They needed a place where they could relax. They needed a place where they could unwind. They needed a place where they weren't judged against their brothers, and who might have done better than them in yeshiva. They needed a place where they didn't have the pressure of the community on them. They needed a place where they could just be themselves, and that's what Aish Tamid became. Aish Tamid became a makom for the guys to come in a warm, caring, relaxed atmosphere and just be themselves. With Jay on board, our services went to a whole new level in terms of what we can provide. Whereas before we were only able to provide chavrusas and religious and spiritual experiences, and whereas before we were only able to provide a little bit of academic and life coaching in terms of career counseling, what Jay allowed us to do was open up totally to help the boys who really needed a little bit more help. To help the boys who perhaps, if they needed to meet with a social worker or a drug counselor, or someone who needed to find or be referred to a psychologist or a psychiatrist to work with them if it was necessary, to help them get back on medications or get the medications that they need to help them, to work with the parents and to run groups with the boys and to run groups with the parents. Jay added a whole new professional level to this clinical area, which we needed so badly.
And we were in Neve Tzion together in Israel after Eula, and we went to college together in New York. We spent a lot of time together, and when he moved back to LA, he had this idea to open up a program for young guys, which was basically modeled kind of after the Neve Tzion experience that we had in Israel. Avi decided when he came back to LA, we really need something like this because, Eula or these other high schools, it was all the religion was taught as, this is what you have to do. If you don't do it, get out of class. You don't have to come to davening. You don't come to, you're punished. Or, we don't need kids like you in the school. This is how you want to be, go to public school. So, we needed something to go ahead and, cater to these children. And when Avi decided to open up Aish Tamid, I think it was a brilliant idea. It was great. It catered to these kids. Which was exactly where we were, back at that time in our life. So, right when he started, and, it started out in Shartfila, and there was a minyan, and it was like a Karbach minyan, so it was really Levitic, and it was exciting, and, just going there on Shabbos was like, it wasn't just going to regular shul, and just having that, boring Lechadodi, Kabbalah Shabbos, okay, time to go home, 30 minutes, okay, it was 29 minutes, whether you finished davening or not, it's over. This was like you came in, and you didn't want it to end, you were excited, and you felt achdus, and you had good friends, and it was just an amazing feeling, and that's how it started with the Shabbos minyan, and then Avi was doing Tishis Friday night in his house, and having guys come over, so it was really a positive experience in a Jewish framework, as opposed to just, come in, do your thing, and then go home, and it's like, okay, great, Dad, I went to shul, Mom, I woke up this morning, and so it's like you wanted to go, and that was really that's what changed, and I love it. I dive in here every Shabbos, and I come to all the events, and I'm already 35 years old, so I'm, I would be considered old, but the minyan now that we have here with a new building, there was just this past Shabbos, there was about 45, 50 people, so I guess I'm not the only one that loves it. Avi and I both knew each other when we were 16 in Eula together, same grade, and back then, like I said, we were pretty wild, having a good time, not really going to class, not too much into Judaism, not too much into following real rules, just want to have a good time like every 16, 17-year-old. And as time passed and we went to Eretz Yisrael, that was Avi's big turning point, and there's actually a very special story which I can relate if I have a minute, but the turning point for Avi where I saw it and it actually hit me as well was when we were in Eretz Yisrael and we were there for the year, and after 2 months there his visa was up, and it happens to be his father's Israeli and his mother's Israeli, so the army said unless you come to the army you have to leave. And this was I believe this was in December, and he had to go home, and they said, okay, you have a week. So he started packing his things, and he was right about to leave Eretz Yisrael. And the night before, all the LA guys, myself, and a few other friends, we got together to make him a goodbye party. And he stands there, and he was in tears, and he says, I came here, and I've been here for 3 months now, and I've been going out, and I ate pizza, and I went to town, I had a great time, but now I realize I have nothing to take home with me. And I know all the rebellion were saying, if you stay and if you do something, you know, and that's what you take home with you, not going out to town every night. And he goes, I didn't realize that now till the opportunity is going to be lost. That's when I realized. And if I was you guys, I would stop going out and I would really change my life around. And we were all in tears and we all hugged. And the next morning, the cab came to pick him up to take him to the airport. And it happened to be that night it snowed in Israel for the first time. So the cab couldn't come, and it snowed for the second day, third day, so 3 days. And as we were walking to the cab on the third morning, it was snowing, but it cleared up a little bit. And he got in the cab, he was right about to go off, and someone yelled, Avi, wait, don't let him go. And they just got a permit from the army to let him stay for the rest of the year. And with that, he came back, and he was never the same person. He says, you know what, remember what I said? He goes, those words that I said, that I'm going to take advantage of it. And he sat there and he started learning, and he broke his teeth over the Gemara and over learning. And he made kesher with the Rebbeim, with Rabbi Sternberg, and with all these other rabbis. And he brought me in and my other friends, and we really, together, that was really the turning point. And, you know, if that didn't happen to him, I probably wouldn't have taken Eretz Yisrael so seriously either. And neither would my other roommates. And that's where Avi really started to grow. And he realized, and he sat with Rebbeim, and he realized, you know, what do I want out of my life? And then whatever he learned there, he took it with him. And then when we went to New York together, yes, we were still having fun together, but it was different. We had go out once in a while, but the goal was to look for something more, to get into the, learning and get it ready to get married. And that's really what Avi did. He lived by what he said. And over the years, he really come a long way. He got married. I think he was like 22, 23. I was at his wedding, and he met the girl in Shar Yashuv, which is, again, the girls when you're 16, the girls we thought we were married, and here he met a nice, beautiful, religious girl who wanted to have a religious home, and even though she had a difficult background, and so did he, his parents were divorced, he decided, this is it, this is forever, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I want. And he took that and he ran with it, and he kept growing and growing and growing. And I remember when we were in New York and he got married and he finished college, he was looking for a job, and he showed me, he says, Morris, I have a stack of letters of 400 law firms that rejected me. I don't even have a job. I have to move back to LA. And you know what? I said to him, Avi, everything that happens is for a reason. And he moved back here, and he was able to open Aish Tamid, and he had children, he raised a family, and he built a beautiful Bais Neman by Yisrael. And he's just doing a great job. And I've seen Avi over the years just growing more and more, whether it's he reads a lot and he's learning a lot, and he just wants to grow, and he wants, whatever he learns, he wants to give over to other people. And that's a beautiful thing. It's not something that he wants to keep for himself. So his home is open, the Aish Tamid program is open, his wife, his children, they're just a great family, and he really came a long way over the years. So that morning, right after we called him back, and he realized he was able to stay the whole year, the rabbi called him over, Rabbi Mandelkorn, and he says to him, Avi, do you realize the only reason it snowed in Eretz Yisrael, or possibly the only reason it snowed in Eretz Yisrael, was to keep you here so you can be what you're going to be one day?
Well, it hasn't even started yet. When we met Avi, we would learn with him once a week. Me and a few of my friends, 4 or 5 guys, that quickly turned into twice a week over by the Kollel on Beverly. And, walked out of there very inspired, very energized. He would just sit us down and just learn Gemara with us. And even though we were fresh, but that's how he went about it. And really, he got us going. And after that, then it just turned into, more guys, bigger group, different groups, different nights, different age groups. And he would focus on different people, different ways. But yeah, initially when we started, it was just me and about 4 other guys, 5 other guys just learning. He was like one of us, talks our language, understands where we're coming from. He's been through the system, EULA, this and that. So he just, he relates to us very well, and he understands us very well. So it was just, I think with a lot of young people that he meets, just the chemistry is always there. It was just a little bit, we were lacking a bit of Yiddishkeit, a bit of Torah. And, Avi, saw that there's a need for an organization that addresses some of the issues with the boys that are off the derech, and that's what he geared Aish Tamid towards.
So when we came to LA, and at first we were busy with our triplets were born, and for a couple of years he basically was stuck in the house. Soon after, he got the call to just start learning with some guys, and learning with some guys meant going once a week, just getting together with a bunch of guys in the neighborhood who needed a little bit of inspiration and learning, growing to twice a week, learning with more textual skills, giving them more of a foundation. And that has snowballed to anyone, anything, anybody who needs anything. That's the kind of guy Avi is. So when he saw that somebody needs jobs, all of a sudden he becomes the job placement man. And then when he saw that kids had more complicated issues, then he had to open up a division that dealt with those issues.
Aish Tamid is a place where guys can come and not be judged and be themselves, and have people who can help guide them and talk to them in ways that make them feel open and free and really discuss what's on their mind, and they can get direction and counseling and find a path.
Aish Tamid seems to incorporate the secular world coupled with the spiritual, the religious world, combine it into one, telling people, look, we understand that, yes, spirituality-wise, you may be at a certain level, but we're also here to help you on a level that's on a secular. What are your day-to-day problems? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to pay off tuition for your family? And Aish Tamid has designed programs where a person can go to a job fair. A person can identify an internship that Aish Tamid may have, whether here internally speaking or through their vast network of people, and really help people put together a game plan in identifying their career path and helping them continuing to grow and develop in their day-to-day lives.
Aish Tamid kids are kids that just don't fit the mold. Don't fit the regular yeshiva student, high school student mold. The kid that can study for 8 or 10 hours a day, go home, do his homework, and watch a half an hour of TV, and then go to bed and get up at school at 7:30. There are many kids that don't fit that mold for many reasons. It might be family, it might be social, might be some kind of mental health issue. But many, many, many kids don't fit the mold that's out there for the yeshiva high school student. And so we created a niche for kids that don't fit that mold, and we create a place where they can be successful and be accepted as they are, for who they are. And we create a place for them to feel comfortable, non-judgmental, healthy environment with people they can talk to, and a place they can feel comfortable. We try to redirect the kids, and we, together with their parents, we get the parents to accept the kids for who they are, and to find the kids' potential, and to help them become successful to the best of their ability. We have programs that we try to help the kids get their GEDs in order that they can go to a place to go to college. They need the prerequisite of a high school diploma to get into college. And then when they get out of college, they need to find jobs. So we have a career counseling program here. We help them with their resumes and cover letters, and we try to get them jobs. Over the last 5-6 years, we've given out hundreds of jobs. Bad experience in their youth, in school or at home, or they just didn't fit that religious environment. So we try to create a religious environment that's comfortable for them. Kid, we want the kids to wear yarmulkes here, but sometimes we have a Mariv here after the Laker game. So again, we don't force the kids, but we make it available. 9 out of 10 times the kids will daven because they're comfortable. It's a comfortable environment for them. No pressure, no judgment, and we just let them be. And they're all good kids. They're all good kids, and we're like one big happy family.
What's built into the program is actually developed in a way where it can facilitate growth and change and positive, positive self-esteem and all the great things that these kids can really benefit from.
Right now, currently, I'm not that religious, and when I come over here, I don't feel like they care about it. They welcome me with open hands and everything, and it's good to know that there's a Jewish place where they don't really force the religion on you.
When you come back from Israel, from a yeshiva experience and living in Israel and kind of having Torah around you all the time, and then when you come to LA where it's kind of in pockets and you kind of have to go searching for it, a guy like Avi is able to kind of navigate you and kind of settle you down, and he's able to kind of direct you so that you don't lose that motivation or that fire that was lit in Israel or that was lit in yeshiva. And I met him through here. He started giving Torah classes to a lot of the guys who went to my yeshiva with me still come to his classes that he still has. A lot of them keep in touch with him, and we all have a relationship with him. And since I see him all the time, I come to his organization, and that's how I kind of keep, that's how I keep going. I mean, I definitely have that relationship here, and I definitely have that connection here because it's a place that I'm able to connect with Hashem. I'm able to kind of keep my fire going. I'm able to to connect to the kids who come, who I kind of have been through some of their experiences that they've had. I'm able to kind of relate to it, and it just kind of makes me feel comfortable that it actually gives me inspiration more than anything. That I'm able just to see kids grow, and just to be here and just to watch kids go from A to B is just how I relate to it. It's just
and it's just amazing to have you come to a community and to have a place to just fit in and to be part of is so special.
The interesting and one of the most impressive things of the program is that it caters to a wide variety of young men, both those who have somewhat succeeded in Eretz Yisrael in yeshivas but want to come back and maintain some of that atmosphere which they may not find in the standard-based medrash, boys who looking for a job, need someone to talk to, boys who struggle at home with certain issues which are not uncommon today, and they find a listening ear and a warm heart and a warm, embracing atmosphere here in Aish Tamid. Aish Tamid plays a role for a growing number of young men who aren't able to grow and develop their strengths based on the standard yeshiva curriculum, which is of course a need that is growing throughout the world and has to be addressed, and doesn't indicate that there's something necessarily wrong with the boy. It just means that the system, the way that it's been created, is somewhat limited in terms of the young men who need extra attention and a broader perspective.
Aish Tamid is shul, it's office, it used to be a school.
We want to help the kid. That's what we do. We want to help the kid, want to help the family, keep them all together. Kids don't always want help. They're not ready to get help, unfortunately. We can't force them to get help. We can't force them to want to get help. And sometimes we have to remove them from situations in order for them to wake up and realize that they need help. And sometimes, we just have to do what we can just for the safety of everybody.
We know what we went through as parents going through the trials and tribulations of having a kid at risk, and we wanted to try and give some chizuk, to other parents that are going through the same thing. Parent support group meets once a week, and basically it's just a forum where parents can discuss challenges that they might be having with their kids, and also gain from the professional social workers that work with Aish Tamid for strategies and how to deal with their child and nurture their child through a difficult time, as well as support from other parents, both emotionally and with advice of what may have worked for them in the past or not worked for them in the past. If it weren't for the support group, the parent support group of Aish Tamid, I would say there'd probably be scores of parents and children that have, that really break up their families and are not able to move past a moment of crisis and have their children come back to a more healthy, from family environment without the support that Aish Tamid gives them. It's hard for somebody who hasn't experienced it to understand the pain that a parent goes through and the confusion that a parent goes through trying to understand why they have a challenge of having a child at risk. You feel like you've tried to do everything, by the book, and yet the result isn't the result that you've always hoped for. Having had the experience of having a child at risk who, Baruch Hashem, made it, it just gave my wife and I the impetus to feel that we wanted to be with other people, other parents, and support other parents and kids who are going through this challenge, because the thing that most people, I think, don't realize is that all of these kids are great kids. Every single one of these kids can and Mir Hashem will be an asset to our community if we show them the way to come back, that they're needed, that they're included, and that they're valued by our community. Every one of them will give back to the community in 100-fold for the support that we give them now.
A big group of guys in our neighborhood, from boys, who were using, and we were very frustrated. And a few of us mothers were pulling our hair out, did not know what to do, where to go. That my son, in high school, was having a very difficult time to follow directions. He is a very bright boy, but just the schools, and it just didn't work for him. And together with other disenfranchised youth, his friends, they started getting in trouble, and they started smoking pot, and this got really out of hand, and he as well as his friends, they seemed to be bounced from one school to the other, and he just wasn't succeeding, and it was affecting him, and the pot was also affecting him in a very negative way. And it got to the point where a few of us mothers, we got together and we were trying to figure out what to do, and through a hashgacha we got to Avi. When I discovered that Yaakov was using drugs, I did not know what to do. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what. But I wasn't very educated on the subject of drug and alcohol addiction, so I thought just using my motherly ways and my love would convince Yaakov to stop using. And I was totally ineffective, and this is very typical. A mother can't do it. So I was in despair, and I spun my wheels, and nothing worked. The problem for the family of a drug or a drug addicted or alcoholic member is the family is essentially ineffectual. There is really nothing they can do. The only thing a family could do is to get education about what to do for themselves, and it just seems like the opposite of what a mother or a father should feel, that they should really rally and really get into it much stronger, but it's totally ineffectual. They cannot do anything about it. It's not a logical kind of a problem. Yaakov's life today is very rich. Yaakov has approximately, I know he's just recently had 90 days clean. He went to detox for 7 days, and from there he went straight, and it was very important, he went straight to sober living home. I'm very encouraged about Yaakov's recovery. He's doing all the right things, and having a sponsor and doing his step work and attending meetings and living in an environment with other men who have addictions.
When I first came here, my parents thought that I was hiding something, or hiding a couple things, or not telling them, being a teenager basically, and that's what parents seem to think that, parents in general seem to think that, if their son or daughter isn't open with them, or if they don't know everything about their kids, that their kids are doing something bad. It's just, I built up trust with my parents, and they were like, what's up with him, what's going on, what is he doing? Why is he so open with us? Why is he telling me all these things? And they started realizing that this place is really helping me, and it's not just a camp, it's not just field trips every day. So my parents started trusting me, and letting me do things, and not investigating on me like every other parent does. My parents and I became best friends, and that helped. That made a very big difference for me.
My parents look at me, they trust me a lot more, they look at me a lot more as a mature person, and they respect my decisions a lot more, and they also actually learned to judge me less and to focus on what's best for me, not what's best for them and for their name.
For a lot of the parents out there, we are their last resort. They've been through counselors and psychologists, and a lot of the kids have been to 3-4 schools, and the parents just have no idea where to turn to at this point in time. They've called the normal, the regular avenues, and they just have nowhere to go anymore. And then we're like their last resort. They call us, and they come out. We've had a program called Mask we had for them, for parents, to give support for parents, where they could speak out issues and meet with other peers, where they get support from each other and from a counselor, Dennis Brown, for the Nest Center. I feel that I'm pretty successful with the parents. I have a good relationship with parents, and unfortunately for me, I end up in the supermarket very busy. As I get, bombarded by parents who come over to me, and it's not the proper venue to speak with parents, but it happens a lot, and I spend hours and hours on the phone. My office is my phone in my car, and they call, they're comfortable to call, and my phone is always on for them, and if I'm busy, I call them back later. But there are days, again, it's crisis intervention, that's what we do.
My parents actually like that I come here, so we have an understanding that I come here at night times.
We all know that children who struggle cause the parents concern and heartache, to put it mildly. And the parents should therefore be appreciative, very appreciative of this service that's available, and they should seek it out, and they shouldn't feel awkward or embarrassed to take advantage of something which is critical for the development of their child.
It's critically important that basically parents should give support to their kids, have as much support for their kids as possible, instead of trying to completely avoid it and break up connection with them. You gotta get closer to your kid. It's your kid. Don't run away from your problems. Fight them.
My work here in this school, in this system, it really has improved my relationship with my parents, because back then, even though I didn't have to fight with my parents all the time, but I didn't talk to them the same way I speak to them now. I didn't relate to them like I do now, and just to be able to I could call now, I didn't trust my parents. I didn't know that I'm supposed to go when I have a problem, talk to my parents. But now I don't have a problem. Like, I don't live at home, but I always go to my parents for all the chagim. Every other week stay there for Shabbos, and everything about my relationship with them has blossomed. I'm not just their little son, you know. I'm more of their. I could talk to them like an adult, because that's who I am. That's who I feel I am, and that's how I'm treated by them, by talking to them more maturely, and not having the little kid problems that I used to have.
You know, the Jewish community is a large community, and sometimes you need the community within the community. A community within the community within the community that you feel that are your chevre, your people, you know, and you need to connect to a Rav and to people who care about you and inspire you, and that's what's been happening in the last few months since my son Michael got involved with Aish Tamid and, you know, Rabbi Avi Lebovic and Rebbe Hershoff, and Rebbe Hershoff is his Rebbe this year at Eula, so, and he's very connected to him, and he said he found his Rav, so, which is a blessing at the age of 15 and a half. Some people look for years, they could be 25 and they don't find their Rav. So I'm very excited, I'm very inspired.
Beginning parents are in denial, and very often if the problem becomes serious enough, you can't be in denial anymore, and you kind of have to deal with the challenges. There are very few families that are untouched by this problem. I can look in our community and see scores of families that I know that have children that have either left Yiddishkeit or whose involvement with Yiddishkeit is only visible on the outside, but they're not connected at all on the inside, and many more that are on the verge of leaving.
It's basically you're out in the open and you're out having coffee, and the rabbi's speaking of what he's speaking about, and we're speaking about whatever we want to speak about. That was really cool, and Rabbi was thinking of redoing it.
When Rabbi Hershoff came on board, what we did was we designed a program every Tuesday and Thursday night at the Coffee Bean. It was called Teen at the Bean Workshops for Success, where the boys could come and they could meet with Rabbi Hershoff at the Coffee Bean during the hours that it was open. They could talk with him about school, they could talk with him about life, about their parents, about friendships, about challenges and struggles that they have. And really, while there was a lot of good work that was going on at the Coffee Bean, the real work, guys, this is the trick, the real work, as all the guys know, didn't really happen at the Coffee Bean. The Coffee Bean was just a meet and greet opportunity. What really would happen is Rabbi Hershoff would follow up with every one of these boys, as the boys know. And even though they meet at Tuesday, Thursday night for a few hours, it was only within 24, 48 hours that Rabbi Hershoff would go ahead, call them on their cell phone, and then start meeting them for a hamburger, for a pastrami burger, meeting them for a slice of pizza, getting to know them. And that's what really guys could open up. It's very difficult to open up in a big group amongst everybody. But once they would go ahead and meet with Rabbi Hershoff one-on-one, he really had a chance to bond with them and connect with them, and the boys opened up to him and really told him the story.
The program was called Teen at the Bean, which was basically, I think we described it before, as a program for kids to come and hang out with me and maybe another mentor, and we'd learn a little bit and hang out in a healthy, safe environment. So a lot of those kids, right, we started 4 years ago, a lot of those kids we have sent to Israel. A lot of what I do is Israel counseling, career counseling to go to Israel.
The purchase of the Aish Tamid building has totally changed everything that Aish Tamid does. This building has just been like a dream come true. It's been a dream come true for me. It's been a dream come true for my staff. It's been a dream come true for the parents, for the students, for the entire community. It's like Hashem sent this building directly to us. We didn't have to do any work. We didn't have to do any carpeting or painting or moving walls. Everything was set up with exactly what we needed. It had a kitchen and it had a base medrash, and it had a game room and it had a rec room, and it had a computer room and a career counseling room, and it had a conference room and it had a lobby. Everything was, Hashem could not have designed this building better for us. To finally have a home for the Aish Tamid boys to come to. And you don't understand, you have to see this building you have to see it to believe it. The guys come here, they got a barbecue, they got some punching bags, they got an Xbox, they got a foosball table, they got 10 computers with Excel and Outlook and Word on it that they can learn how to do stuff, they got Facebook, they got an I mean, this is their home. We have hot dinners every single night. And I want to tell you, you know, some of us take dinner for granted, and some of us take hot dinners for granted. We have a lot of our boys whose parents are either working, you know, 2 jobs, whose parents aren't home, or for whatever different reason, there's no hot food. There's no hot dinner waiting for them every night. You know where their hot dinner's waiting for them? Their hot dinner is waiting for them at Aish Tamid. They come every single night and they either get a home-cooked meal, a barbecue meal, or some type of homemade, you know, deli sandwiches, or we got French fries in our, you know, going, or something new going in our new oven, in our new kitchen, or we're bringing in, you know, Jeff's or Pico Kosher Deli or Elite Cuisine, or we're bringing in pizza. I mean, the guys love it here. There's nothing like this. The building now is used every single night of the week for a drop-in center. It's great. Instead of going to Hollywood and shooting pool, instead of going to Sunset and hanging out, instead of going to Westwood or Century City or wherever else the guys hang out and getting in trouble, they come here. They got a Rebbe who's giving shirim. They got 2 Rebbes giving shirim. They have a career counselor who's available a couple nights a week to help them do resume writing and career, searching for jobs and cover letter writing. We have Jay, who's able to talk with the boys and work with the boys. We have Gavriel, who's able to schmooze with the boys and hang out. They shoot pool. They have the time of their life. We have couches in the back of our parking lot where the guys can sit around and they could lounge about and they could just be themselves. They could just be themselves. There's no judgment. There's no criticism. There's no disapproval. There's just warmth. There's just genuine warmth. And it's terrific. The building has been terrific. The Aish Tamid Drop-In Center has been tremendous. Every night, guys can come from 8 to 10. The building is open. We have staff who's ready, willing, and able to meet with the kids who want to come by and just be themselves. Whether they show up in a baseball hat, whether they show up in a yarmulke, whether they show up without anything. There's no criticism, there's no judgment. There's full acceptance of who the kid is. We want them to come, we want them to have a good time, we want them to be themselves. They can watch the Laker game or the latest sports game on our flat screen 52-inch TV. They could play the Xbox, they could play Guitar Hero, they could play Wii, they could play foosball, they could play pool table. We have a collection of personalities who are here to work with the guys. There's a warm Rebbe, there's a couple warm Rebbes who can sit and talk with them or learn with them. There is a career counselor who can sit and help them work with cover letters, resumes, help them find the jobs, help them identify what their skills are and how they can best utilize their skills to get the jobs that they want. Most importantly is, there's a camaraderie amongst the guys. In a safe, warm environment, they can be themselves, they can hang out, and they can bond, they can share with each other's experiences. Every night, in addition, one of the best ways to a guy's heart is through his stomach. We have hot dinners for the guys every single night. A lot of us take dinners for granted. We think that when the clock hits dinner time, we're ready to eat. But the reality is that a lot of the boys, for different reasons, maybe because their parents are working 2 jobs, maybe because there's financial problems, or maybe just because for whatever the reason, there's no dinner at home every night. They come here every night and they have the dinner, whether it's a Elite Cuisine or a Pico Kosher Deli or a Jeff's Gourmet, whether it's a Pizza World or a Pizza Maven or something else, or whether it's a hot dog on a barbecue. The guys come out, they roll out the barbecue, they put some hot dogs and hamburgers on, and they laugh and they have the time of their life and they bond. The drop-in center is essential for our community. There is a huge need to have a place where guys can come and relax and be themselves, where they can connect with rabbis, where they can connect with whomever that they feel to open up with and trust with. And if they want more than what the drop-in center offers, our staff is able to follow with them at the next days to try and figure out exactly what it is that they need.
We hang out, play pool, talk, be social. Aish Tamid is very great for helping random people just coming in and having a place to be at night from around 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Not a lot of people do that. They end up doing stupid things. They end up doing very immature things. And it's pretty cool that they do that.
I was actually very impressed. I saw a lot of boys, open door policy coming in and out. The boys were having a wonderful time, lots of food being served. It was a real draw for the boys to come here. And I also saw the interaction with a lot of the staff over here. very non-intrusive. They were here. They weren't taking the boys or questioning them. They were actually having fun with the boys. And I also saw at times the boys slipping away with some of the staff members going into a conference room. And I saw the boys expressing themselves, talking to them, and they were able through this method to draw out a lot of communication. And it looked very, very positive. And it's this type of environment that promoted that type of expression and communication.
Drop-in Center is a place where people can come hang out, guys anywhere from like 15 to 18, and they come play video games, watch the sports games. I mean, this whole playoff time was great. Guys were really into it. You know, it was just a perfect timing, and play pool. You know, have some food. And one of the great things about the Drop-in Center is that they feel comfortable because they're with people just like themselves. I mean, and these aren't guys that are different. These aren't guys that are different from a Yeshiva Gedola guy or Valley. They're not different from them. They come from a different background. But in Valley Torah, or in EULA, or any of these schools, or Shalheva, any of these schools, everyone at the school is different as well. I mean, you have different people everywhere. Just that these guys are in like that middle where they know about Judaism. They're not really into it. They're kind of confused. And they're like right there in the middle, and you know, they can go one way or the other. And the Drop-in Center just allows them to like channel, be like, look, all these guys are just like me. These guys are way cool, and you know, the older guys that I'm hanging out with, look at Avi, you know, he's a rabbi, but look how cool he is. You know, we talk to him and we can just tell him whatever it is. And guys like Jay, and we had a guy here, Ezzy Finkel. I mean, these guys are really, really cool guys, and I can connect with them, and you know, that's what's really amazing about the Drop-in Center. It's not really about the games that they have, or the TV, or the pool table, or the food. It's more of like the atmosphere. They're with people that they can connect with, that they can talk to. The kids that are far off, and really, they're really not much different than kids that are far on. I mean, it could really take only one small thing to turn them in the bad direction or the good direction. And the good thing about the Drop-in Center is whether they're in the middle or whether they're far off to the right or to the left or any way they are, they will always get that positive energy here at the Drop-in Center. It's that positive energy of being with people who understand you, who will listen to you, who will, you know, a guy comes in here without a kippah, or you know, he's has longer hair, or whatever it is. Like the people that are surrounding him at the Drop-in Center look past that. That's the whole idea, and that's one of the main aspects where it's not that they need to fit the mold. It's they make their own mold. They say, look, you know, I got long hair, but I can still be religious, and I can still be a good person, and I can still, you know, not have to do drugs to fit into people that other people have long hair, or I mean, I'm just giving examples, but that's what's so amazing about the Drop-in Center. That you have so many different people, and especially with guys in the middle, that they can really be comfortable to talk to say, look, you know, I have this type of issue. You know, maybe the kid has an issue or a question, let's say with kashrus or with Shabbos or with something so minute where he won't get it somewhere else, because maybe somewhere else will say, well, if you're not that already, then you're off. Then then there's something wrong with you. Or here it's not like that. Here at the Drop-in Center, they get more of I guess more of like a I don't really know how to say it. More of like a personalized message to them. More of a comfortable message to them. Say, well, you know, this is the reason, or this is the answer, or you know, I don't know. You know, you do what you got to do. You know, and that's really what's amazing about the Drop-in Center.
To have a place here in LA where guys can come and hang out, shoe pool, play Xbox, watch a game. You know, we had a foosball tournament. We have dinner here every night for a number of guys. This is their meal. This is the meal that they eat. You know, besides for the Kit Kat and the you know, whatever it is that they're eating during there. But this is the one where they have it. You know, one night have a deli sandwich. One night have wings, We have challenge every Thursday night, pizza. Every night we have food here, so they can eat here. So on simple level, this is just a place. This is just a place to be.
I pretty much show up on a daily basis, come here, hang out with my friends, play pool, play foosball, watch Laker game, basketball games, all that good stuff. It's nice to know that you have a place to go to, and it's better than just hanging out on the streets. This way you could hang out over here, have fun, you know, play some pool, watch a game, play video games. Sometimes if I have an issue or something, I'll just take one of the staff members to the side, like Jay, to the side and talk to them, and they help a lot.
I wouldn't call it a second home, but something like that, where, you know, kids come here after they work or after they go to school, they chill out, you know, they hang out with friends, and they're always going to do that. So you might as well have it in a safe, kosher, proper place, you know, and, you know, possible, you know, some Torah, you know, injected in there also. So I think it's for sure necessary.
Pretty much it's from 8 to 10. Rabbi Hershoff, Jay, and Rabbi Avi run this thing over here for a bunch of kids who come, and they teach them, and they have like shiurim and stuff like that, and they also have like pool, Xbox, foosball, all these like games and stuff like that. And also they have food from 8 to 10 pretty much.
We came up with this idea that if we can combine together the best of the wilderness outdoor summer camps together with an indoor-outdoor school setting, then we could create something engaging that the guys would enjoy. For the kid who couldn't sit in class, we finally nailed it. We figured out what was the best way to deliver to them the same or similar services that they would get in a high school setting, except not in a high school setting. They were one day at the beach, they were one day on top of a mountain, they were one day at an art museum, they were one day on a boat, they were one day river rafting, and they were getting the classes on the side of the mountain, they were getting the classes at the beach, they were getting the classes in the park, they were getting the classes of hard knocks of life in the boardrooms, where we would take them into the boardrooms of the executives of so many of the people in our neighborhood, and the executives would talk to them and say, this is what it takes, you know, to put food on the table, this is what it takes to make a living. The curriculum of the school was very simple. What we did every day is they would get together in the morning. The program was a standard 40-hour-a-week program like anything else in the city. They would start each day with davening. After davening, they would have group where they would sit around together with the Jay and the rest of the team. They would identify some of the goals that they had for themselves, some of the struggles that they've had over the last couple of days, how they confronted those struggles, how they moved beyond them. They would give each other the props, and they would give each other the encouragement to move forward as well as advice. And they would set goals for moving forward in that day. They then would have either some base medrash time where they had class inside a proper base medrash, and then the fun began. They would go in the van. We had a 15-passenger van where it was great. You had either Rabbi Gidry or Uncle Ezzy, as they called him, Unc Ezzy, or Jay, and they would go ahead and they would go in the van and they would hit the road, and they would hit the greatest spots in California, the greatest spots, I should say, in Los Angeles, really, where they would take the kids out, and they either had their classes right there, you know, wherever they were at the beach or in the park or wherever they were at, or they would come back to the building in the afternoon, and we found a company called The End Result, which is the same company that works with the kids in LA County juvenile detention facilities. So they have about 60 professors who can come in at the drop of a hat, and they can work with the boys and give them the attention that they need and the time that they need to help them pass either their proficiency examinations or their GEDs. The English classes were set up in a tutoring lab type of environment where the teacher would give kind of like a little bit of a course, and then he would assign them all some work to do, and then he would walk from person to person. Part of the school also had a family component where the parents were required once a week to come for a family workshop where they would meet together with Dennis Brown or Jay Greenberger or another trained professional who could help work on some of the family issues. So the model for the Pardes program was that in the course of a 40-hour work week, we were able to hit the major components of a person's life. We were able to hit the family, we were able to hit the religion. We were able to hit the academics. We were able to hit the mental health. We were able to hit the physical health. We were able to hit the social, balance of a person. We were able to go ahead and work with them on, future planning for careers over college. Everything really came together, and the high school was a tremendous, tremendous experience for everyone. So we went ahead. I got tired of meeting of all these students who were 15, 16 years old, and they were out of school. I had never seen such a thing, where a kid was 15, 16 and out of school and doing nothing with his time. It's not like they had a GED. It's not like they had a diploma. It's not like they had anything. They were just home and sleeping all day. So we decided to go ahead and design a program, which we called the Pardis Academy. Some of the boys call it Plan B. That was one of the names. The Pardis Academy is, I think, one of the most remarkable things that we've ever done in our existence. Our first year started with 7, 8 students. Our second year went up to about 18 or 20 students. We were about ready to start year 3 with close to about 25, 30 students. It was catching, it was working, but the economy took a turn, and the market became very difficult, and we had to put things on hold. Our first year we had 9 kids in the high school. Our second year we had 18 kids in the high school. We were slated to have somewhere around 25 to 30 kids in year 3. Unfortunately, as many of you know, the economy took a turn for the worst. Some of the funding dried up, and we had to put the high school on hold for now.
Avi is such a genius. He devised such a amazing plan to make a GED program for these boys. These boys who, without Avi, probably would have been at home, doing nothing, getting worse and more demoralized. And he created a school that had a social worker and no pressure in to learn or to daven or to learn Torah. No pressure when they're ready, but they had a lot of education on drugs and alcohol, and they also had counseling. Avi imported Jay Greenberger, a licensed social worker, and who also specialized in drug and alcohol counseling, but also Gabriel Hershoff, also who has a certificate in drug and alcohol counseling. They met Teen and the Bean. They had, and again, this high school was amazing high school. There was no pressure, but they had a lot of counseling. And then in the afternoon, they brought a very specialized team to come in and to teach them to prepare and to pass the GED. So it was an amazing program. Avi bought a 15-passenger van, took the boys out. They went often during the week. They went hiking. They did counseling while they were hiking. They had just an amazing program. And unfortunately, funds prevented, I think, and to this day, prevent Avi from moving forward with all the different programs that he had arranged.
It ended up being the best year of my life because it changed everything. This place helped me to open up and not wanting to do stupid things anymore. Thinking about the outcome. I would never think about the outcome, and that helped me a lot. And it helped me realize what you have to lose. You're just in this. It helped me know a lot about myself that I never knew about, and I never thought I could be that open. And after this whole thing happened, after the whole year, at the end of the year, when we all had to say goodbye and everything, I honestly wished that it was never over. And I remember in the beginning of the year, I couldn't wait until it was over. And at the end, no one wants whatever that started to end. And one of the things when I first came into Aish Tamid, I never thought that I would have those friends. I would stay connected with those friends forever, or after the year was over. And when I started, I made friends, with a couple people and with everyone that was around me in the school, and we built trust. But there's a point where you can trust someone and you just don't want to tell them everything. But you're open with them. But at the end of the year, we went through so many programs, so many sessions, so many groups, and so many trips together. We went through a lot, and dramatic moments and just everything. And at the end of the year, we all noticed to each other that we all cared about each other. And when you first come when someone first appears at a class or for the first time, you want to show everyone else that you're the big guy and you don't want to be messed with, or you're just you know everything and you don't need help with anything. And it ended up being that everyone needed help with themselves, and everyone needed to open up, everyone needed to just explore themselves, and this place helped us all do that. It changed everything for me. I became more open with people, and I can now put myself in other people's shoes, and I never thought about that before. I never thought about, oh, how would he feel or how would she feel if I did this or that to her. And now I think about it, and this place really, it changed everything. It changed my outlook on life, and it helped me a lot. I mean, when I go home, it's my family, and when I leave my house in the morning to go to school, it's like I'm going to my second family. And this place, it just made me feel very, very open with everyone and open with everything, and I was very comfortable here. It made me feel like I was at home. And I started thinking about how I can make a difference in my life and in my parents' life.
Basically, it was the first time I was in a Jewish program, and I didn't feel judged in any way. And actually, the way that they were addressing my problems was more in a way of trying to help me than anything else. Basically, the staff was just here for me, and the people I was with, also my classmates, were amazing, and I wish the school could still be going on.
Throughout the whole year, though, that was the best school year of my life. No matter how many times we went back and forth, because at the end of the day, we were like, "Hey, how are you?" We didn't really hate each other. We just they loved us the whole time. We gave them the sense hey, we don't want you, we don't need you, and we knew I knew that I loved them, and I knew they were doing what was right for me. I just didn't want them to do it at that point.
I was doing some inappropriate things, getting involved in some gang activities, and Jay was calling me a lot, trying to get me to the school, and I started going to the school. I got my GED. I got a lot of help with drug problems, and basically kind of set me up for life. I was going through a lot of tough things, and I came from a very religious background, and I went off the derech, and at the same time going off the derech, I started doing things off the derech legally too. In that matter, I was getting involved with the wrong crowd. I was affiliated with a lot of criminal activities, and basically because of Plan B, in a way, it kind of took me into a different environment and showed me to think logical, what decisions are better for me to make.
It's not the same as going to, your average ordinary synagogue or temple. It's not the same as, many of the other places that you see.
Have a Friday night minyan, beautiful Friday night minyan, and with a lot of singing and a lot of flavor and a lot of warmth that you don't get anyplace else. And singing, dancing, welcoming Shabbos, you don't get that anyplace else. Shabbos morning, you have a beautiful minyan. It's welcoming, warm, and such a young crowd.
in addition to the Shabbos afternoon minyan, they have lights out. And the flavor that you get from Aish Tamid davening and learning, and the Shabbos at Aish Tamid is unparalleled to any place else.
I was living for a short time across the street while I was doing construction on my house, and Avi Lebovics asked me to stop in for davening a Shabbos Friday night and for the Shalashidus. And when I came here Friday night, looked around, saw the boys, I was actually very impressed, which actually drawed me in to come for the Shalashidus, which was the lights out Shalashidus. And I'll tell you, I was actually very moved by the Shalashidus. I saw a very intense Zmiris, which I felt was very, very moving. And I saw how the boys seriously sat there and really enjoyed a Shalashidus. And it really moved me, it moved my son, which I know my son has come back numerous times after that just to experience it over again.
One day I came by, came inside, and just immediately you can feel the warmth. All the people davening, just really warm and friendly. Knowing I hadn't been here before, they welcomed us, greeted us, showed us where we could sit, and Rabbi Avi was incredibly warm and friendly. The kids took to him pretty quickly. And then when the davening started, it's just a way to bring in Shabbos that I had never experienced before. And after a few weeks, my son would spend, by Monday or Tuesday, he'd be excited and looking forward to next Friday night, Aish Tamid, and the songs. He would march around the house singing the songs. It was just beautiful. It was really meaningful for our whole family. Those lights go out, and the skylights are there, and you can literally see Shabbos leaving, and everybody's singing their hearts out as Shabbos departs. It's just the transformation on the way in, on the way out, literally changed what Shabbos is for our family. Where now you have interaction between these two groups, and you have professionals in the community who can join in the programming, in the genuine Aish Tamid programming for these guys and help facilitate that movement and give them some coaching from different perspectives. You have people in doctors, people in construction, people who are contractors, all sorts of different options that these guys can see. And just the whole feel of that room, there's a future, there's an example. We can say, hey, look, this is something to strive for. This could be me if I make good choices. And that interaction, I think, is going to continue. I think we're going to be starting a base measures program that coincides with the drop-in center. So a couple of nights a week, these guys can really intermingle and mix. It's very powerful, I think, synergy where they're going to be helping each other.
Friday Night Minyan specifically is magical. It's very lively. I had once bumped into a friend of mine from the other side of town, from the Pico Robertson area, unexpectedly. His response back to me is that every minyan in this city should be like this on Friday night. It's just something that uplifts you. You leave really feeling very inspired.
Well, I come here every Shabbos to daven, and the minyan is fantastic. Friday night they have the Kalbach style, and everybody comes and they're happy and they dance. This real simcha you can see in everyone's face when they come here. It's a real pleasure to come here every Shabbos and daven with Aish Tamid.
So we get a wide variety of students, anything from, early or late teenagers to early adults, coming to us for a lot of different needs, but mainly they need money. So it's a big, vast world out there, and they're looking for direction as to what kind of job would be good for them now, and how whatever job they get for them now might help them in their future. And it's really important for students to feel that, or teenagers, young adults, to feel productive out in society. So we help them by just giving them some basic advice on how to go about their job search or how to start getting out there, how to approach people, what their resume should look like. A lot of them have never put together a resume yet. This is like their first time putting together a resume. And we just try to best help them get out there to take action, because once they get that job, which we've seen, not only that, they've gotten the jobs that they've wanted and they've gotten to the fields that they've wanted. So it's very, we found it to be useful for a lot of the students here to keep the Career Center and to grow the Career Center. I don't know. One of the things that we have found that the students really need is a sense of self-sufficiency, to be able to support themselves. And one of the things that we've been able to accomplish here at Aish Tamid is for them to open up, to really try to help them make decisions as to what is going to give them the self-esteem and the other essential tools that they need in life to survive and to thrive out in this world. So try to help them with our experiences, what we've seen work for others. So it's really just a matter of helping them think for themselves, and then giving them the tools and the resources that they need in order to best accomplish what they're looking to accomplish. Once a year, we do have a career fair. The first hour of the career fair typically is for the students. They have first dibs out there. And then after that, it opens up to the rest of the community. And Avi has numerous stories, and I have several stories of those that did find their next job or a way to launch their career through the Aish Tamid Career Fair. I feel that all of us have an obligation to chip in to the greater claw of Yisrael, to best use our talents that we've been given to help other Jews. And Avi had asked me if I could volunteer to help out some of the students as well as other community members, whether that's help them out with a resume, whether it's helping prepare for interviews, whether it's career counseling, or just basic assistance with their job search. It would be really nice to see even more employers than the ones that are already participating, letting us know their needs and how we can best help them.
I feel that our son, he started out, as a single boy looking for a job. He went to the career fair that they held for the whole community, and he found his first job through that career fair, and that was really amazing, because once you get in your first job, you know that you can always, that's not a life sentence. You have that job and you meet people and you network, and then you get your next job, and then you find your path in life, and then eventually our son got married, and he lives in Los Angeles, and he and his wife have settled here, and they have a whole chevra of friends who go to the same shul, Aish Tamid. The shul is for people, the entire community is welcome to come to the shul. Young couples, I don't think they cater to couples, middle-aged couples, so I don't know if I'm so welcome here, but I'm definitely...
But I am.
Okay.
Avi always showed his love. He was very into what everybody was doing.
My daddy helps kids, and a lot of kids get kicked out of all these schools, and he takes them and he helps them, and then he gets them back into schools. And it is very important what my father does, because it helps the kid and it helps everything, like everyone in his family are happy or whatever. It helps them, and the parents are happy.
He was always an amazing contact to have. I knew that I would always be able to count on him to give a good reference for me.
Good.
Lebovitz is an amazing person. I can't say enough about him. He just, to see somebody at the expense of his own time and his own family to give up so much and to have built so much, you know, just really with his drive and vision and care, you know, for these kids in our community is just, it's something that inspires respect and awe, I would say, to see somebody do that. And I just can't say enough about him. He's helped people on every level who have kids that are struggling to make their transition into the Jewish world, keep families together, help kids grow up healthy, sound, happy. There's not enough that I can say about him.
He really wants to give everything that he has, whatever it is. I mean, he works full time, and he does Aish Tamid full time, and he talks. You know, if he calls you on the phone, if you call him, say, Avi, you know, I have a question to ask you. He gives that full time, and just his full time energy and his strength, everything that he's got, he puts into whatever he's doing.
Avi was always there for either myself or any of the guys, any of my friends, anybody that needed Avi's assistance, his help, his guidance, his experience, and his experience, strength, and hope. For the guys who just didn't fit in, they always had issues because they just didn't fit in. And when drugs started becoming a big deal amongst, you know, the frum kids, Avi was always there. He was the one intercepting the issues. He was the one that really put himself out there for the guys to say, listen, I'm here, you know. And he would always, you know, he would always just put himself out there. If you need anything, I'm always here for you. And although he's got several kids and a full-time job, he always made himself available, whether it was in the middle of the night or whenever he was called upon. No judgment. We're not here to judge. You know, you're a Jew. You're one of us. I've sat for many hours with Avi, and I've schmoozed with Rabbi Hershoff for long periods of time, and there's no doubt in my mind that some of the advice that I've gotten from them and some of the perspective that they've given me has changed my life.
Rabbi Avi Leibovich is, I don't know how he does it all. The guy packs 48 hours into every day, and between his full-time job and his full-time family, he still manages, he's the backbone of Aish Tamid, of everything that Aish Tamid does. And who is he? I don't know. He's a lawyer. He's a family man. He's the rabbi of the shul for now. He's the mentor to these guys. He's the brain behind everything and not just the brains, but the blood, sweat, and tears behind everything that happens here. I think nobody knows the amount of resistance that he's overcome and continues to overcome on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to get these programs moving. And the community needs Aish Tamid. The community needs a place like this where guys can go. I mean, it's hard today for teenagers, and it's really easy to get knocked off course. And the community needs a place like Aish Tamid, a guy like Rabbi Avi Leibovich who's been there, who can relate, to shine a light and guide them towards a course that's going to be productive for them and give them a future.
He is someone that you can call at any time, day or night. He may not get back to you within 5-10 minutes, but normally he was someone that gets back to you within 24, 48 hours, answers your questions, is just there as a friend. No matter where you come from, no matter what your beliefs are, he's there to help you out. He may not have the solutions to every problem you have, but he's definitely an opening ear, a welcoming individual to any kind of issues that one may have. He's got a good heart. He's got a good, clean soul that wants to help, that is eager to help people, that is that opening ear, I guess, or that doormat that says welcome. But it's a warm welcome. It's a welcome that tells people, again, we're here to help you any way that we can. It's a comfortable like setting. Be whoever it is that you want to be, but understand that at the end of the day, that you're a Jew. And being a Jew means that you are created in the image of God. And that's a beautiful and incredible thing.
Avi Leibovic is an amazing individual. He created this whole organization just from working with a couple of guys who came back from Israel and needed a little inspiration. And Avi started to work with them, and that grew and grew and grew. Went from 5, 10, 20 kids, 30, 40 kids. He used to have a shiur in the upstairs at the Kollel. That grew to a little Beis Medrash in the neighborhood, and we went to Shari Tefillah, and we just, you know, his goal when he started was working with kids coming back from Israel, 18, 19, 20, that were maybe they were inspired in Israel, but by the time they got back, they were a little bit lost. And or they were home for 6 months, and they found that they were lost. They didn't have a job, they didn't have a degree, they didn't have education, they were getting lost. So that's how Aish Tamid started. Avi's a very inspirational guy. He's a great speaker. He's very warm, and he spends hours and hours and hours with kids, with guys on the phone. If you listen to his message, his message on his phone says, "How late can I call you back?" That's how he responds. His home is open to everybody. Avi has a full-time job, 50-hour-a-week job as a lawyer. This is all a non-profit organization. He does this all, you know, it's pure chesed that he does for the community. And you know, we've grown from that little organization where he worked for the couple of kids to 5 years ago when he brought me along, he decided that we should start working with kids. So we went from, you know, Coffee Bean, you know, 20 kids twice a week, to we started a program, Pardes, which was a high school program for 2 years. We had about 20 kids each year.
I want my personal goal is I want guys to know that I'm there for them, and no matter what, no matter what's going on, no matter how they're doing, no matter you know, whatever they may be embarrassed of or ashamed of for themselves, that is something that I'm okay with. That's something that I will accept in them. So we're not pushing the guys to do, you know, an hour of learning. We're not pushing the guys to make sure that their grades are up. We're not pushing the guys to, you know, to be angels. We're not doing any of that. That's up for the kids to decide, right? Avi is a powerhouse of chizuk. Certain people have certain strengths, and Avi's strength is to really give chizuk.
Anytime there's the slightest issue, I'm even concerned about something or possibility of this or worried about that, I always talk to Rabbi Leibovic. He always knows what the right thing to do is. Chanach lenar al pi darko. You have to give each kid exactly what he needs, and Avi Leibovic always knows exactly what they need. He's a wonderful friend and a mentor to turn to whenever you need any help with anything.
Many of the boys in the community would feel as if they don't fit into a certain mold, if they're slightly out of the box, then they're no good. Avi makes each person feel that he belongs, helps each person find his niche, find his strength, and capitalize on that.
It's really what Avi is. He just puts all his heart, all his soul, all his energy into this project, and he believes in it. And you know, they say if you believe in something and it's holy and it's good and it's in the way of Hashem, then it's going to succeed. So I think it's great.
If there's anything that I ever need to talk to Avi about, or issues I'm having with whatever it is, you call him up and he's there. He's there. He'll make time for you the next night or the night after, but very quickly, late at night, what it takes from the family, take from his own personal time, and he'll guide you. He'll give you his 2 cents. You know, Avi's great and he does a lot, but he wouldn't be able to do it all if it wasn't for his wife, Rena. So I'd wanted to thank her, because it's not easy to share your husband with 1,000 people, and she does it, and she does it with a smile. So thank you, Rena. And Avi, thank you very much for everything you've done, all the time that you've put in for us, for the community. I don't know how you do it, but thank you very much.
Avi's a person who, when he sees something that needs to be done, he does it right away. And he's a man of action. He treats this more like a paying full-time job than anyone else who does things just that I know. He considers this his full-time achrayus, his full-time responsibility is to keep this going and to keep being there for people as much as he can. How he keeps going, it's with Hashem's strength. There's no other answer. It's not simple. How he works full-time during the day, which supports our family, and then full-time at night running this organization.
He was always there to give me advice. He was, as you would say, he was a Rebbe. He was my Rebbe and my role model and my mentor.
My son had a certain amount of involvement with drugs. If he wouldn't have gotten the help that he needed, and if we wouldn't have gotten the help that we needed to support him through it, it could very well happen that he would have lost his life, and we would be parents who were bereaved, of our child. At the moment, right now, he's married, he's a father, he has a steady job. He has wonderful friends in the community. He, is totally involved in the Jewish community. Wife covers her hair, and they're just, they're living the life that they should be living.
One thing I really learned the most out of here is to let go, to hold on, and also to never give up, and also the bad times. It'll always pass, There's always better to look forward to. And this place really changed my life. And I owe a very big thanks to Aish Tamid and Avi Leibovich and Jay Greenberger and Ezzy Finkel. I owe thanks to everyone here. And I really, I thank them a lot.
There's a big misunderstanding amongst the frum world. And from the guy's perception is that we're not loved. No one cares about us. There's no room for us amongst your community. And that's very wrong. That's very wrong. God loves us. Hashem loves us. And so does everybody else. And so do the yeshivas and the schools and our parents and our community and our rabbanim. I have a bright future ahead of me. I see only great things happening to me at this point in my life. I was in yeshiva. I learned in Israel for 2 years. I came back. I have a great job, and I'm building a career for myself. And a lot of that wouldn't have been possible without Avi and Aish Tamid.
Since I've been to Aish Tamid, I'm a completely changed person. I mean, I just started going to college to learn to be a medical assistant, then on to nursing, and then medical school, which was not even close to anywhere I was thinking before I started this program. It changed my life in a completely different way. College wasn't even in my mind at all, for all I could say. And yeah, it basically, I could say, broadened my horizons.
Well, they taught me how to be more mature, not spend my money on stupid stuff, save my money, give tzedakah, work through my troubles if I have any troubles. That's pretty much it.
My relationship to God before Aish Tamid was resentment and why did you do this to me, God? Why am I like this? Why am I not like that? Why do I have the problems I have today? But after going through all this with Aish Tamid, and even though it wasn't directed completely at God, everything here, like it was in other schools, that helped me in a way of realizing that my resentment only hurts myself, doesn't hurt anybody else. And I chose to just be open to anything. And although I'm not at where I need to be in religious wise, I talk to God as much as I can every day. I try to do what I can, even though I'm still not thoroughly convinced in other facets. But that's my journey that I'm gonna have to work on, little by little. But that, to the most part, I wouldn't be able to be so open to all this if it wasn't for Aish Tamid. I have a lot of hope for the future. I look forward to every day, not like I used to just hope that the day would end and this miserable day, even though I did this and this and this, I still have the desire to keep living in every moment, because I cherish every moment that I live as long as I'm happy.
Guys and girls are dropping dead like flies. And I'm talking under the age of 20. Teenagers. I'm not that old, but when I was 14, I wasn't sticking a needle in my arm. When I was 15, when I was 16, all I wanted to do was have a good time and hang out with my friends. Nowadays, 15, 16-year-olds are isolating themselves in their bedrooms, sticking needles in their arms, popping pills, and just isolating because they don't know what else to do. And somebody introduced them to something called marijuana. And from that, after a certain point, it didn't work. Or they learned how to drink. They found alcohol that worked. And when after they got high or got drunk and they felt like they can fit in, or they felt like they were okay, or they felt like this is good, I feel a lot better, it only progresses from there. And with all of the other issues that they have combined, once they find that high, once they find that drug, they pursue it. And I don't blame them, because that's something that works.
I was a very quiet person, and I wouldn't trust that many people, and I was very closed, and I had a lot of things that I wanted to say, but I didn't know who to say it to.
Just like, every town can't live without a Tomchei Shabbos, and just like every town can't live without a mikvah, or other necessities, that are in the city. I don't think any town, especially not Los Angeles, can live without an Aish Tamid. Aish Tamid should already be a household name in Los Angeles. If it's not, it will be, because the service that we're providing are so critical for everybody.
If you have something stuck inside and you tell it to anybody, you're going to feel better and they were there for that. They're there for everything, basically. I think Aish Tamid would be great for people who, like I said, aren't doing much with themselves, and who want to do something in life that they don't know what they're doing, who are flunking out of school and they need a place to go.
It ties the gap between people that are connected into the community and people that are not connected into the community, and it does so in a really open, friendly, and comfortable way. It's a very special place because it allows people to come in. It allows a place for people to come and grow and flourish, and seek shelter from some of the pressures of the outside world. Give them a healthy, vibrant outlook and perspective into their Judaism, into their spirit, into their soul, into their life, and it helps people. At the end of the day, it's a helpful program.
That a center like this it saves lives, and it's so important for the community to come together and to acknowledge that something like this is so necessary, and not wait until we need it, but understand that it's a community-wide need. It's not necessarily a specific need to a specific family. Why wait? I think it's very, very important that everyone in the community get together and support this organization.
It's crucial that our children, if they need it, that they have a place to go and a place that they can express themselves, a place that they can talk to counselors, talk to rabbis, and feel and that someone cares. And if a place like Aish Tamid wasn't around and that didn't exist, we should only worry where our children will be, our grandchildren. So it really affects everybody, whether it be children, someone my age, or whether it be grandparents who have grandchildren that they need to worry about. So this really affects everybody. It doesn't only affect parents, it affects every community person throughout our community.
You know, from community, when you have a child at risk, a lot of times you're kind of invisible because there aren't a lot of people that understand it or want to know about it, or want to know, or even admit that it exists in our community. So pretty much you feel like you're dealing with the situation totally on your own, without any kind of support. Very often, even the Rabbanim aren't really familiar with the special challenges that both kids at risk have and parents of kids at risk have. So it was really a very big help to have people that were experienced dealing with it to help us through the process, and for us to be able to help other people through the process. It's critically important for Aish Tamid to survive, because even though in many areas these children are invisible in our community, there are hundreds of kids, literally hundreds of kids that I've seen in the short time that I've been involved with Aish Tamid, that come through here and have a shockingly negative attitude towards their families, their schools, their home environment, their community environment, that is totally turned around by being involved with Aish Tamid.
Other cities in the world with bigger populations have developed systems and have places for guys to go, like New York, for example. In New York, there's a few Jewish rehabs. There's our place. There are drop-in centers. In LA, we have nothing. All we have is Aish Tamid. And it's crucial for the future of all of these guys and girls as well, but Aish Tamid is only for guys right now. It's crucial for these guys to have a place that they know, even if they only show up once in a while, but they know that if there's ever a problem, I know where to go. There's a place for me to go. And that's what Avi and Aish Tamid is trying to accomplish.
If it weren't for Aish Tamid, there'd be a lot of guys in a lot of trouble. And ultimately, our future is our youth. And if they're in trouble, we're in trouble. I think there are people who say, let's just sweep these little problems under the carpet and ignore them. I would say to that, the problems are only getting bigger, and the more you ignore them, the bigger that lump under the carpet gets. And sooner or later, it's so big that you end up tripping over it. You can't ignore these problems. These kids need attention, and there's no one better to give it to them than Avi Leibovic and his crew. I mean, he's assembled an incredible crew at Aish Tamid.
I think it's very critical that Aish Tamid continues its program, because slowly by slowly, a lot of other Jewish kids that were my age are also going through these things, because LA is LA, as you probably know. And I think the program has to stay in order for there to be some kind of Jewish forum to help us out, because there is no other Jewish organization that's doing what Aish Tamid is doing. Most parents aren't, I wouldn't even say, maybe not even 1% informed of what's going on in our community. I mean, because kids are manipulators. We know how to play our parents the way we need to, especially once you become a drug user. It just teaches you how to manipulate your situation to the way you want it to get to. And I feel like the amount of drugs being used at the moment by the kids in our community is getting worse and worse. And if we don't start working on that, the community is going to go down to the gutter.
We're for a place like Aish Tamid, the kids would be hanging out on the streets every night. They'd be hanging out all night. They'd find other activities, unhealthy means of entertainment and recreation at night. We create a place where they can come to and feel comfortable, and they keep coming back. We have kids that have been coming here for 5 years. Younger kids, older kids. The problem of at-risk youth is not a new problem, and it's a growing problem, unfortunately. The systems are very rigid, and a lot of kids don't fit in the system. And the systems are good for some people, but not everybody fits them.
This is the place where guys come. This is the place where guys stay connected, right? If it wasn't here, where would it be? Literally save lives. We literally save lives. Some lives we save, right now, we're saving a life right now, and some lives we're saving it in 5 years from now. That's the way we work.
We're not in the ghetto anymore. There was a time when Klal Yisrael was separated from the rest of the world. Our religion kept us apart from the ways of the Goyim, from the shtusim of the Goyim, from the silliness of the mundane physicality of the world out there. Today, everything was thrust upon us, whether it's through the internet, whether it's through dealing on a day-to-day basis with the people in the quote-unquote regular world. So there is nothing separating for us, and it definitely has a direct influence on everything we do and everybody around us and everything around us. For lack of a better word, they lust after something interesting, something better, something different. If a boy has the mazel, he has the luck that Yiddishkeit grabs a hold of him, Torah grabs a hold of him, mitzvahs grab a hold of him at a young age, then he could make it safely through. If not, there has to be external forces helping him along. We need something and somebody and a program to help a boy feel this kind of fulfillment in Yiddishkeit. Aish Tamid is set to do this. Aish Tamid takes boys and helps them feel fulfillment and feel good about their Yiddishkeit. And that is what's needed to keep people within the fold. Parents try, want, cry, pray, do everything they can, and they do not have the tools to do it. We need this outside influence of people who are practiced, of people who are well-versed, of people who know what they're doing in order to deal with these issues.
If Aish Tamid weren't here, I would not be as close to the Jewish community.
It's not something people often talk about, but there are a number of kids who don't quite fit into the stereotypes or to the molds that our schools have set up for them, or our society has set up for them. For better or for worse, our schools are geared for certain types of kids, and not everybody fits in. And we've seen numerous kids throughout the years who, unfortunately, for one reason or another, just don't quite fit into those molds. And unfortunately, there's really no place for them. And this has bothered us for years. And Baruch Hashem, thank God, we have somebody like Rabbi Leibovitz who decided to take the bull by the horns, and he's going to attack the problem. Unfortunately, our community is not immune to the pressures and the lures of the outside world, and our kids are also being attracted, and our community are also being attracted to the outside world. And if we don't take steps to do it, God forbid, there's going to be real problems.
Rav, in the community, one of the concerns that I have is that we often see, perhaps it's too strong to say parents in denial, but we see that families are not necessarily in touch with the needs of their children. It's a difficult thing to accept in our limited circles that a boy or a girl isn't necessarily succeeding in the standard yeshivish mahalach, but at the same time it's a reality. And Shlomo Melech said, "Chanech l'nar pidarko," you have to educate every person in the way that is appropriate to them and that relates to them. And that, of course, is Avi's Hitztainus, that's his excellence, and that's where the sensitivity comes in. And we need to recognize that this is true for a lot of the young members of the community, and in order to ensure a healthy development and a solid base for the next generation, we have to start addressing the people who need this different type of attention. And Aish Tamid is an institution that does that. If we didn't have Aish Tamid, then we'd be a lot worse off. It's not adequate, and the truth is that we have to really move from reaction to intervention. We have to be able to look at the younger kids in the younger yeshivas and start finding out the ones who are struggling and help them so that we don't have to pull them back from a place where they might have fallen out somewhat. But if Aish Tamid wouldn't be here, we would all be worse off. And they're doing a shlichus on our behalf. They're doing something that every one of us is required to do, and they're doing it more successfully.
And in regular schools, mainstream parents, they just either in denial, they try to avoid it. You know, if your kid's a drug addict or uses drugs, you got to keep it quiet because you got to keep your reputation in shul good. You got to, you know, you care more about your own reputation than actually caring about your kid and trying to get them in the right way. And that's what I like about this place. They basically tell to the parents how it is instead of sugarcoating everything and playing games.
Without Aish Tamid, you have nobody dealing with the kids that fall through the cracks, or even just some kids that feel like they're not everybody here who comes through Aish Tamid's doors has major issues. There are some guys that just need someone to talk to, or there may be some guys who need help getting a job or need some direction with a resume, maybe need just a little bit of chizuk for the moment and are totally normal, functioning, regular kids. But without Aish Tamid as a resource and a center, there's no place where these guys feel comfortable. This has become a place where any guy can walk through the door. Any boy, young, even upper teens, late 20s, the range, that people know that this is a safe place. And it also is a place where parents know that they can go and they can speak to either my husband or to any of the other people on staff who are really equipped to answer questions in a very confidential, comfortable way and get direction, because we live in difficult times and there are constant issues that come up. Without Aish Tamid, I don't know what people would do.
If it weren't for Aish Tamid, I would probably be miserable. I would be very miserable. I would not be a high school graduate right now. I would not have anybody to tell my feelings to talk to this day. Even though I'm 19, still come in as often as I can to talk to Jay. I'm the same as when I was 14. I'm still telling every single thing that I feel is wrong in my life, because the more you hold it in, the more miserable you are. And I know I would be a miserable existence for me if I wasn't here.
LA is a very dynamic city, which offers any teen or any young adult basically anything that they want in all areas. So, if they don't have an injection of inspiration, if they don't have a mentor, if they don't have a role model, if they don't have a mashpia, which is another word for a mentor, someone to help talk out issues with, someone to help guide them and navigate them through the streets of Los Angeles and through the streets of life, so to speak, there is the potential to get lost along the way.
Tati works hard and helps boys and helps them by getting them off drugs and all different types of crazy things, because it's a mitzvah, and yeah, it's a mitzvah.
If nobody's willing to stand up for these guys who are our brothers and sisters just like everyone else, but they're physically incapable of doing anything about it without help because they don't know how, and they need assistance. They need somebody to hold their hand and say, look, you got a problem. You have to go to rehab. You have to do what you have to do in order to cure your disease and get better before we can allow you out of that quarantine zone. But like I said, there has to be a place for them to go. And that's the service that Avi's providing. That's what Avi's trying to do.
Every night, instead of me going to meet with a funder, or every night instead of me making calls to call a donor, my priority, my number one priority is always the boys. And
I in various ways have supported this organization financially, and I volunteered as much time as possible. This is something that I feel very strongly about, and I'm very happy to be a part of it.
My wife and I, when we found out that Aish Tamid was forming in Los Angeles, we were very excited because we knew how much it would have meant to us to have a support like Aish Tamid at the time when we were going through difficulties, so with our son. So we decided that we would just, you know, become involved in any way that we could, and try and be as supportive financially and just with our presence here also, you know, as much as we're able to.
I'm telling you, it's not a pretty thing. It's a very, very scary thing. People are overdosing, and here we have someone who's willing to help these kids in our community, and without funds, the proper funding, you know, Avi won't be able to continue his good work and all his ingenious plans. And I'm amazed. I have so much hakaras hatov to him, and so much respect for what he's doing. He puts his love and his resources and his energy into these kids and to our youth of our community.
About them to support Aish Tamid, and it doesn't always take money to support. You can come be involved. You can come interact with the guys. You can mentor a guy. You can just come daven here, and by davening here or attending a lights out shal shudus or giving a shir or sitting in on a shir, you're contributing to the goals of Aish Tamid in setting an example and helping and being a helping hand, almost like a big brother for these guys.
Give to this cause. This cause saves lives every single day. This cause is unparalleled to anything going on. I've visited other places. I've seen what other programs are doing. Aish Tamid is really doing a lot, and with the right funding, there's an incredible amount more we can do. And that's basically it. We just.
Kids are falling away. Physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, kids are falling away. We need to help them. There's no question about it. We need people who are geared towards this. Aish Tamid, Baruch Hashem, has done the work, has done the homework, has prepared themselves. They have the tools to deal with these children and to help them live a normal, fulfilling life. We have to support them so they could do this holy work. There's no way out of it. We have to face the reality that we need this.
I have a kollel, and you know, one of the ways I present the kollel is by saying the kollel is a community asset. It's not Graydon's enterprise, it's a community asset. Kollel is Ma'ira, Torah and Kedusha in the community. Aish Tamid provides a service for the community. And you know, if a person doesn't personally require mikveh, they still have to contribute to mikveh. If a person doesn't have children for the day school, they still need to understand the importance of a day school. And people who are not in need of the services of Avi Leibovitz need to understand that many other people are, and they're their friends and their brothers and their sisters. And therefore I would highly encourage people to consider making a substantial contribution to Aish Tamid.
It's very important to give money to Aish Tamid because they of all people need it, and the Pardes thing that they made, the school here that they made Plan B, was the best thing that I think that Aish Tamid has ever made, ever. But because of insufficient funds, they didn't have enough money to make the school go on. And like, you know, people like Bli Ayin Hara make enough money that they can allow themselves to give tzedakah, and you know, like it's a win-win situation. They can give it, and Aish Tamid can give them tax deductibles, and you know, like it works out evenly. And then a lot of kids benefit from it. They don't do like bad things, and they don't drift away from like the path of Judaism. You know, if you have money, then you can help out places that really need it, instead of helping out some like other organizations and getting your name printed all over the place. It's better to put it over here.
If Aish Tamid were to no longer exist, we'd lose hundreds of kids. I mean, this is the only connection that we have with these kids. These kids are not interested in just studying, and they need to have an outside where they can come and socialize and find friends. And this is extremely important. What Avi's doing is nobody can match. This is unbelievable what he's undertaken, and we need really the community's help. This is an unbelievable organization that needs to be supported.
So we're all one people here for each other. So this is what I could do, is let him go and be there for my family and my kids, with him, you know, coming in as much as he can. In order for, I often say it's not the Avi Leibovitz show. This thank God there has been tremendous support, and there continues to be not just support from the community, also within Aish Tamid itself, with the faculty members he has, the staff that he has. It's not just him anymore, but it takes tremendous effort and to raise the appropriate funds to keep it going. It can't all be done by one person. It's not possible. And the bracha that we've seen has been amazing, but it could be so much more with people's continued support and additional support. The staff members that we could have hired had we have the funds, or the schools and the kids that could have been reached if there was we used to have a school running. We can't have it anymore because it was just too expensive to run and we didn't have the funding. Those are guys that didn't have a place to go, and now they were placed elsewhere, but there are many other people who need the help. Without the community support and without individuals coming, even volunteering time. It's not all about just the money, but also the time, people giving of themselves a little bit more to help supplement what's going on here already. There's no end to the amount of people that could be helped through this program. We collectively, as an Aish Tamid group and family, so to speak, can have an impact on the future generations of Klal Yisrael. The bracha is amazing. It's not something that we can measure. And the amount of people who are just affected is not something that could be measured.
On one hand, I need to put all my focus and I need to put all my talents and any strength that Hashem has given me towards the boys. I'd like to think I have a knack for it. I like to think that I understand them. I like to think that the advice that I give them is on point, and with Siyat D'Shmaya, I think that we've done pretty well for ourselves. But at the same time, I can't be meeting with boys and parents and couples and community members every night of the week and then expect to raise the money that we have. The operating budget that we have really requires several full-time people to put together. Right now, we do the work that we have to do with fundraisers. We go to our P.O. box, and somehow, some way, there's always checks inside over there, but it's really not enough. What Aish Tamid needs is Aish Tamid needs volunteers within the community, not just to work with the guys. We need volunteers to help us put together programming, to help us put together fundraising. We need volunteers to introduce us to donors. I don't get paid for anything that I do. I take zero salary. And I'm telling you that all the money that you get goes 100% towards programming. All the money that we get, that you give, goes 100% to the boys or the staff that deals with the boys directly. Every dollar goes to something for these boys. And without the proper funding, the thought of not being able to keep the building, or the thought of not being able to keep the programming, or the thought of having to close something up is just, it would be terrible. It's unfathomable. I do believe in my heart that Aish Tamid is really still at the very beginning of the impact that we're going to have on this city. We are on the cusp of greatness, so to speak. I think what we're doing already is great, but I think that based on the volume of phone calls that we get, based on the volume of needs that we're servicing, based on the results and the effects that we're having, either in getting guys jobs, either in connecting with their family, either getting them into schools, either helping them with the yeshivas. I mean, as they say in Hebrew, tachlis, the meat and potatoes of what we do every day is shining through. It's going to be a collective embracement of what Aish Tamid is in the whole community. A communal embracement of, wow, this is great, Aish Tamid, yeah, you want a chavrusa? Did you call Aish Tamid? Do you need a job? Did you call Aish Tamid? You're looking for a warm minyan somewhere to come and daven and grow in your avodas Hashem? Did you check out Aish Tamid? You know they have a Karlbach, and they got a lights out shalashudas, and they got all these different things that are going on. If Aish Tamid, what Aish Tamid does, the name Aish Tamid comes from a pasuk, Aish Tamid tukar al mizbeach loy tichbeh, that a perpetual fire shall burn on the mizbeach, the loy tichbeh should never ever go out. And there's a much deeper understanding in this, and that is, just like there was a fire on the altar that never went out, there's a fire inside each and every one of us. There's a fire for life. There's a fire for living. You know, and we have to understand that this fire never ever goes out. If things get difficult at home, if things get difficult in school, if things get difficult with jobs, with friends, with God, if things get difficult with yourself, lo tichpe, it never ever ever goes out. And you know, when you think about what the future of Aish Tamid is going to be, you know, I can tell you now that as long as Hashem should give me strength, as long as the community should give us funding, as long as Hashem should continue to give us Yad D'Shmaya, Lo Tichbe, the Aish Tamid of Los Angeles, is not going to go out. We're going to be here, and we're going to help the community and the town and the students with the services that they need. If it's whatever it is, we're here. We're not going anywhere.